fly by, when bullets fly by. What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by?
That is very slow, approaching the contra.
Like this.
Why is this an hourglass here, bro? When I click on it, it's not an hourglass. And it's so disappointing. When I press the button, the hourglass. The settings of time when I'm off for you, when you find the pirates.
Diesel, con ange, yo destiné pour le monde, quoi. C'est qu'on s'en va, il fait.
When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by?
Pop, pop, when you hear the Glock. Touchdown, nigga, cause I'm in your spot. Give it up, nigga, you might get shot. I'm the hot shot, so you gonna get shot. Any nigga out here might feel the pop. My 9mm gonna make you drop. I talk about my 9 cause the shit's so hot.
I know this camera's got control stuff, but I don't know what it can do because it's put into a box in the website that
happy. I gotta hit the light and it feels so nasty, believe me.
My hair is nasty.
I'm a nigga with attitude, so fuck you pussy.
When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? What you gonna do when the bullets fly by? Like a goose or snitch to the cops. Me, I cock back, let it go for the power. Bullets fly by like a breeze in the summer. Cold dog set, MPLCTE, RIP, and KSP.
I had to put the phone on the charger before I could talk to y'all about the charger.
I let my bullets fly by, shooting at you niggas like kites in the sky. Blue beams, I'm killing this rap shit. So what you gonna do when my bullets fly by?
When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by?
Yo, clique caca. Every day niggas talking shit like they tough in this motherfucking street, but they not, nigga. When the bullets fly by, the niggas stuck like bitches. It's your boy, you know, HOT. Cold Dog, Revolution in Process Records, KSP the Zone Records.
When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? When bullets fly by, when bullets fly by, what you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by? What you gonna do when them bullets fly by?
Voila, I'ma run and hide, then shoot backwards without looking twice. Give a fuck who dies. You started this shit, don't call me cold as ice. I got cold ice filled with cold. Cold ice strawberries is so nice. I feel a bunch of shit about the same shit.
Drop my berry bonds on them. I'm dropping bombs on them, dropping shit.
Oh, I thought you can buy one crate motor for $2,800.
I'm so cool, man. You can get it like now, cause I
like
got
Lincoln,
the tool, man. No home improvement, got you in like just do it.
You throw a Dodge
on the
Hemi
beat, 1, 2. All y'all motherfuckers, what you wanna do? Women on the left, women on my right.
I will get you there on time. I will get you there so fast. I'll be there before you left.
Bring in the strings, make it swing.
They'll be paying you to get back when you reach 11. This is no good. Oh, yeah. Didn't I? I shuffled it. I reshuffled it again.
Yeah, my name is Roddy, son. But you know, niggas call me AKA Roddy Escobar. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm doing straight.
Don't get close.
No. Rooney.
The Boondocks.
Rooney, White, what up? What up? It's Rooney. I'm a Rooney like hold up. You would not make it, and I'm not hating. I see the future. That's so raving. Kicked on your door, big strap waving. On your knees, hands up like he praying. Guns blast, he runs fast like Jamaicans. I won't stop till I make it. Strip a man naked, not on the kitchen. You got the work where the sun's not shining. Some call me Rooney, others you're mindless. I'm a rude boy, but still I'm a yellow. Can't break me, skin hard like melon. My team got ice time like the red. With this thing cold on my stomach, no pregnant. That's not the cops who you arrested. Black out bodies on every intersection. Gun so dirty, the inside's rusted. WD-40 make it shine like a necklace. I saw the baggie in the back like part of dick. No domestic, I'll aim for the wing. Stick a man up like a magnet on the fridge. Give me that. You ain't strapped like them niggas in the bin. You ain't strapped. So stop telling stories. I read the truth to you niggas like more like enemy. If we in the White House, I'm blue. If he talks, blow him like a flute. It's not how you talk, it's how you do your dirt. Some niggas got flight for the work. Yo, I been on my grizzly, trap no sleepy. Late night posted, chicken get busy. You think you hot? So come fuck with me. Nah, you won't catch me, slipping like Kane. Young nigga ride out, bang on range. Niggas think they hot, shoot at they dick. It's wire and the TBS, we pop at your frame. Miss P89, I love the way they shine. The way I grip on you, that's how I know you mine. The way I bust you off, that's how I know you grind. You niggas think you hot, so come take mine. Then I heard through the grapevine, they wanna take mine. So I ride around with this old 39. Niggas think they hot, fuck at their mom. After that shit, way that they baby mom. Me and roll y'all ride down with this mom. You better call your mom. Shit blows like a bomb. Niggas think they hot, I'm going this in 3 months, time to get it passed off. Two-tone king, half black, half cash rock. They see a niggas back in straight. No heard how I came up on it and had to bring it back.
Making fun of my cookies.
And the boondocks, I'm the type to shank you. Ronnie will get you boomed out. Lean got me lifted, push got me flying. Liquor got me in the mode, you know that I'm riding. Growing in this jungle, bro, you gotta love this right. Call me a tiger, cause I ain't gotta earn the strength. Free up on the pool, creep up and make it happen right. This is my life, in this new place, fuck a football. A nigga catch a showcase, and that's the shit that happens when you catch me wet. But ain't you get us both down? We do that shit broad day, we ride out. So let's roll down, don't get close, get with it or get rolled on. That 3-5 make him roll down, and I ain't talking sick when it's so long.
It's on? Don't get close.
It's on? They know exactly how this technology works. You don't say, yeah, this is what it is. It's on? Yeah. Don't get close. Oh,
Yo.
Wasn't much of a shuffle. 120 tracks.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's just a go-to list that I probably won't get into trouble for playing.
For my headphones.
You get all these other fucking CDs and MP3s
719.
and more.
Yeah.
You don't know about the ceiling. Do you know how it kept it?
We fresh, yo. I'm from the streets where them niggas don't talk to the cops. On the hip, niggas know they walk with the block. Any type of beef, then they pop in the shot. Like, nigga, better get out of the way. When I shoot, I don't miss, okay? 719, nigga, all day. Niggas want what? Woohoo! I swerve through, I hop out. The clip long, the bullets pop out. You see that nigga? He shaking.
Looking like a mental patient. Nah, nigga, I ain't got no patience. You see how the cake shaking? Sound like an earthquake. You can get earth today, nigga. His name is Date. It's real shit. When we pulling up, pop shit. I hit him up. Don't give not one fuck. You hear me screaming? This shit is real. I don't even need a fucking record deal. Niggas all know I got a street deal. Yo, the whole clip know it's real. The whole clip know it's real.
French speaking communist from Ontario, where we
Murder gang niggas. Shiny boy nigga, you hear that? Murder gang poppin', something like beer cats. Cocaine chopping, nigga that beer facts. Never let the ops win, blocking like airwax. They hear that? Looking back, couple of niggas in never made it. When we dropped this shit, know a couple of niggas that hate it. Take it to the death and press the fast related. See a different mothers, but niggas always related. They didn't hear me. Rolling with killers, I know they got me though. See us in the streets will never take us for puppy show. Holding out his hammer is heavy, and so we lock it low. 40 cats singing, it's like it's been in a knock show. You know, the run down, we on fire. Going downtown in the street, crying desire. Marlo looks up for still, he's on the wire. His whole crew looking like a choir. Niggas say, yeah, white like Mel Gibson. Picture, made a short stop like Cal Ripken. Flipping, pressing out white like Don Christian. Nipping on this pitch farm like Rob Picton.
I'ma still shine light on your grave and send shots to the boys who threw dirt on your name. It's no lie, better bounce when them shouts and check. It's 7'5", but I still fuck with hella sets that are alive. I needed 10 bands, so I moved so wrong. Never took a nigga's rock, but I left some sound. Views were better for the rock. Dedicated to the rock, built friends to get coffee. I was getting to the rock, and me and 19, we were setting up the shop. I was moving shit quick while I was shipping up the sock. I was operation left with operation and all. Everything we did was always beneficial for the squad. Trapped all day, yeah, I trapped all day, and I got it up the mud. You could have trapped all day. Just like me, nigga, don't test me, nigga. So I ain't no 10th Street, nigga, from the old school. No ski mask, we wore nightline, and feds getting posted on the corner like a python. King Cobra, cannot the scales off a python. Creeping through your crib, you better sleep with the lights on. Nightmares is always seen, stepping out the front door. The black wasn't war zone, what you think I keep a gun for? Try to battle me and my team, nigga, you done for. A crowd like niggas, that's what a young boy on the pumps for. Dive, my nigga, just ride, read it on it right now. No gloves when you done, give the eyes a wipe down. All day I dream of those straps, we got stripes now. Don't get ahead of yourself, they knock your lights out.
I'm a real prick. Take out. What's it called? And put in Peruvian switch. Who gives a fuck? It's all the same piss shit, you bitch. You speak the wrong language and talking shit. Like I didn't understand that. But yeah, someone else said the oil pump is. The oil pump puts up 22% more, so I guess however you want to measure volume. In the newer VVT engines, because it needs the extra oil for the variable camshaft, which means more oil going to the push rods and the rockers, and they don't have more oil that keeps the temperature steady.
Straight up thug shit.
Probably also means you gotta be exceptionally careful.
Yo, from a young one up, sponge no fuck. Ghetto yo, mom's no luck. Pop skull project brought me up.
In the middle of the road, it takes midnight.
Taught me street law, you fall, you get up. Stay true to all your homies and cuffs. Walk alone if you must. Top low, rolling streets, watch up. From the hood, hungry seeds, clean spots up. Need things, ain't got much. Learn street games, top stain bucks. Bloody money thing with us. Study games and bust. Stuff the D1 and few I trust. Street nigga, no bluff. Know the streets close up. Henny weed so much. Enemies, no love, just more slugs. Likewise, they old drugs. Who's holding thugs? Mentally just molding thugs. Unjust, I know I'm thug. Before I fold, let's adjust. I just blow my mouth wide open, die open. Stuck in cold blood.
Never thugs. Killing time with slugs, pros and lime with drugs, die for my blood, trash waters and floods, all for the love of the TV thing, tell the reason kings, spit through high winds, the frost the ice out your ranks, we're the ones to blame, stop shit again, if you ever end, all the parts intentionally why, don't stop the top,
just listen, we got a vision. The exact opposite of niggas bitching. We different, bitching niggas. Finger fuck triggers until the pussy's wet, bleeding and upset. Sex.
This is as wide open throttle as it can get. It's fully loaded. Trying to get as much.
Really a rash, fuck that in the project. Parklands, nigga in the flesh. From birth to death, I swear I rap. That's my words, upper left. Until I rest with the best relief from stress and beef. Who die for the ends to meet the street is deep. Now cream reminds me of life itself. Either you lost or there was doubt. Until then.
Yo, we all thugs, been thugs, gon' stay thugs. Maintain and stay locked with them chain thugs. Dedication niggas drop, them same thugs. Representing for the block, it's where we came from, we all thugs. Been thugs, gon' stay thugs. Maintain and stay locked with them chain thugs. Dedication niggas drop, them same thugs. Can't believe the haters talk, us niggas showed you love.
Nice. Whole floor's shaking. I like living where you live. Well, I want to live where you live because you don't like living where I live. So you're over there, I'll stay over here.
That's an I spend, I no longer lend. Cause I don't trust none of my broke friends. They hoes broke men, real low. I'd rather gamble my dough. Shooting CeeLo in the back, the center ain't vinyl. $50 a roll, some code says so. Point blank, it's all bank, your money ain't valid here. Y2K's here, don't fear no nigga. Never did in the 23 years that I lived. Go.
Hello, this call is from the tax department.
The whole fucking floor is shaking.
Overdose. You already know what it is. Overdose. Cody King and overdose. Overdose. That's us. Raise a shot to another fucking year. Light that blunt if you high like air. Start that line if you don't fucking care. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs.
I do everything I want. I do everything I want. I can do anything I want. I can do anything I want.
I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs. Winner, chicken dinner, I'm gonna eat you up. I'm in the club, I'm gonna have a party, I'm gonna live it up. Take another pill for another shot. Here's another dab, I can never get enough. Need enough so we can last. Yeah, I'm a dirty ass, grimy line stoner. That's how I keep my motivation. I'll do fine with just the chord. That way I can be on top of my zone. I don't need to scatter my thoughts. When I'm reciting lyrical miracles, everything else to me don't matter. Watch your back. I'm a vicious ass rapper. True, fuck the jelly before the peanut butter. Put it back in the cracker, Ritz slapper. I'm a drug blaster. Always doing what I want. Try and stop me, motherfucker. Raise a shot to another fucking year. Light that blunt if you high like air. Snort that line if you don't fucking care. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs.
I do everything I want. I do everything I want. I can do anything I want. I can do anything I want.
I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs.
I'ma fire it up like it's a fresh doobie. No, you silly flamers, not that cheerleading movie. My mind is kinda screwy for these drugs I'm doing, but I don't think that I'm really losing. All of the boozing and shooting has got my mind oozing. These lyrics for you bluesies. Don't say you know me, I lost all my homies. They all overdose shit. You ain't in my whole beef. Where they at? Just ate a gummy. Now every
Trump supporters have gathered in Tulsa as the U.S. president is
Tulsa,
speak for his
yes,
first
you.
2020 campaign
Not
rally.
Tesla.
Baseball wants to train from home, and third round action on the go from the RBC Heritage.
Well, I never even want to come home. No more planes back to
Center. They
Denver.
weren't
No more planes
online
to
before the
Denver. No more planes
pandemic,
back
they
to
are now.
Denver. No more
Companies have
planes
been
back to
pushed to look at a
Denver.
digital strategy. We'll hear from the
6
head of the
months
Toronto Region Board of Trade on a new program to help your
You know what
company
feels
make the
simple for you?
transition.
You only went to go make one. It's all we eat. Yeah, millions of dollars.
680 News time, 9:31. Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Colette Desjardins.
Don't see open soup kitchens, just see opening gourmet restaurants and run them into the ground. You might as well just give the defer to the homeless
just over the Burlington Skyway Bridge. 2 left lanes are blocked for construction.
Run it into the ground anyway.
Right now is from
Skip the whole
almost
money.
Nicollet Tesla. Eastbound on the QEW east of Dixie Road. We've got 3 left lanes blocked, so only a single lane getting through. The backup was from east of here, Ontario. Now eastbound South Service Road, the ramp to the eastbound QEW, that remains closed for construction. If you're on the eastbound Gardner, it's pretty good actually as you head into downtown. Just a long line of motorists trying to get off, approaching the Jameson ramp. So that's backed up in the right lane as a result. If you're traveling right now on the eastbound 401, we have got work at Trafalgar Emergency Road work. The left lane is blocked there, but no delay according to motorists. So if you're in that area, that's good news. Southbound Trafalgar ramp, however, to the eastbound 401 remains blocked for that work. And then eastbound 401 expect delays out in the Whitby area. Approaching Brock Street, 2 left lanes are blocked, so it's really slow through that area. Same on the flip side, westbound 401, west of Dixon, 2 left lanes are blocked, so the backup, it's jammed from approaching Dixon as a result. Westbound 401 from the Allen to Dufferin, we've got 2 left lanes blocked, and therefore it's a little bit slow through that area. Don't forget that northbound 400, it is closed from the 401 out to the 407, all because of bridge construction. You've got alternates, however, Highway 27, Islington, Weston, even Keele, and southbound 400, the ramps to and from Finch, they're closed for construction. Active TO shutting eastbound Lakeshore down from Windermere to Stadium and from Leslie to Woodbine. Do you have questions about COVID-19? Well, 680 News is working to get you the answers you need. Ask us anytime at 416-872-6800 and we'll work to get you the answer. Your next traffic report is at 9:41. Right now, let's get the forecast. Michelle Nelson.
One of the dudes died doing his
summer,
burpees.
hot, sunny, and humid all weekend long. It will be warm tonight. We have mostly clear skies. Really a great night to get out for a walk. Most of the GTA will stay dry, but the chance of some more isolated showers and thunderstorms, especially north and west of the city. Your overnight low is 19.
Dead over there behind that
right now in downtown Toronto, few clouds, 26 degrees, and it appears near Port Cloudy, and 26 as well. You're feeling more like 32 degrees with the humidex. 680 News Time, 9:34.
We begin with breaking news from Mississauga, where Peel police say a 62-year-old man is dead after an interaction with officers. Around 5 this evening, police were called to Morningstar in Goreway for reports of an adult male in crisis. Police say the man barricaded himself in a home and hours later stopped communicating with police. Tactical and canine units were called to the scene and a heavy police presence was in the area.
You work for telehealth.
Shots were fired from their own officers around 8 o'clock when officers entered the building. The SIU has now been notified. As a result, westbound Morningstar is shut down from Corgrat to Kapalta. Police are asking you to avoid that area. Stay with 680 for more on this developing story. 680 News Time, 9:35. Well, Halton police officer has been suspended after video circulating online showed 4 officers pushing a male youth around an empty plaza. 680's Tim Chapman joins us now with details on the incident and the reaction from Oakville's mayor.
The video is just 40 seconds, but it's causing outrage online, and Halton police have acknowledged it raises a lot of questions. Oakville Mayor Rob Burton says the actions of one officer in particular does not conform to the standards and training of the Halton Police Service, and he condemns it without reservation.
It's not about training.
The officer involved. And I'm looking forward to the results of the investigation that will ensue.
Well, there's no audio in the video. It does show one police officer shoving the young man in the chest, causing him to fall over. He then gets up and has what appears to be his duffel bag thrown in his face as the other officers continue to walk towards him. Burton says he and the board will not stand for that kind of behavior. I'm Tim Chapman.
680 News Time, 9:36. Toronto police are asking for your help in finding a man who is wanted and considered armed and dangerous. It's alleged that 23-year-old Jason Addis of Toronto has made threats to harm multiple people in the GTA. He's described as 215 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes, and has allegedly threatened to use Molotov cocktails among other means to hurt people in the area. If you see him, do not approach. Simply call 911. 680 News Time, 9:36. Happening now in Tulsa, Oklahoma, U.S. President Donald Trump pressed ahead with a comeback rally amid a pandemic by declaring the silent majority is stronger than ever before. Speaking at the rally, Trump says he's glad those who showed up were not deterred by COVID-19 warriors or protesters.
You are warriors. Thank you. We had some very bad people outside.
Elected, commander-in-chief elected, it's popularity, a poppy contest, poppy show.
But that was meant to be a show of political force, was instead met with thousands of empty seats and new coronavirus cases on his campaign staff.
Good.
680 News Time, 9:37.
Well, everyone
Canada has put out a heat warning that isn't expected to lift until Monday. While those in the city aren't able to cool down the drink on the patio, many regions in the province can. 680's Michelle Mackey was in Oakville today, speaking to those enjoying stage 2 of reopening.
Oakville residents are enjoying some long-awaited patio drinks. Christine here is on the hunt for a spot. While the wait is long, she's just thrilled they're open at all.
It feels wonderful. I mean, I think one of the hardest things of all of this is not being able to see people face to face and spend time with people, and it makes it feel a little bit more normal when you've got patios open, especially when the weather's so hot.
Is it ever? And that's why 680 weather specialist Michelle Nelson says Environment Canada has issued heat warnings for all of the GTA this weekend with humidex values into the mid-30s.
We also have a special air quality statement in effect for Toronto because of the heat and the humidity. We do have elevated pollution levels, so if you do have plans to be outside, make sure to take it easy.
In Oakville, I'm Michelle Mackey.
And with Toronto possibly moving into stage 2 very soon, many are wondering what activities are safe to take part in. 680's Zahara Hashimi has some tips for Torontonians.
As the province slowly begins to reopen, health experts are trying to figure out what activities are safe. The Toronto Star asked some experts to take part in what were once normal activities and asked them to rank their comfortability or risk level on a scale of 0 to 10. Going for a bike ride, camping, or visiting a dog park were ranked as low risk and comfortable activities. Getting a haircut, eating on a patio, or going to the gym were seen as moderately risky. And on the higher end of the scale was eating at a buffet, getting on an airplane, or going to a live
eating at a buffet.
While this isn't a scientific study, its intention is to get people to think about risk assessment as the province continues to reopen.
I mean, are they
I'm Zahara Hashimi.
trying not to season the food?
Meantime, Ontario confirms 216 cases of COVID-19 today. The province has been seeing less than 200 cases a day for about 6 days. There were 178 reported just yesterday. 31 more people have died, bringing the total death count up to 2,595. The provincial total of confirmed cases now stands at 33,301, with 85.5% considered resolved. Well, heads up a few planes ahead to the college today and major portion of the northbound 400 is closed this weekend. Northbound Highway 400 is closed from the 407 to 401 as crews do a rapid bridge replacement for the Finch West Light Rail Transit Project. Matt Lewin with Metrolinx says contractors were essentially lifting the old bridge up and dropping a new one in.
And we really understand that, you know, for the people who live in the area and for the people who use the roadway, construction is inconvenient, and so really this is the best approach.
People driving through, you pour out
because again, instead of many years of construction and delays, we end up with just 2 weekend closures.
We end up leaving all the creosote soaked wood next to the bigger houses. Don't worry about it, white people.
Put us on.
Weeks on end for no reason. Oh, yeah.
Weather reports in the city every 10 minutes on 680 News.
Oh, you smelled that when you drove through.
Well,
Yeah,
now
you drove
we go
through.
to
So
the
you only
680 News
smelled
gas price update. Info predicts that the price of gas will not change at midnight, holding at $1.04.9 a liter at most GTA stations. Your traffic and weather next. I'm cardiologist Dr. Sharon Rambahar on behalf of Heart and Stroke. During the pandemic, people with heart conditions or stroke are suffering at home, too afraid to seek help, risking irreversible harm, and causing complications not seen for decades. Hospitals have taken extra precautions to treat patients safely. Call 911 if you or someone you know is experiencing signs of heart attack, stroke, or cardiac arrest. Do not let COVID-19 destroy our lives. Learn more at heartandstroke.ca. 680 News Time, 9:41. Time for traffic and weather together on the ones with an on your driver's color feature event. And this report is brought to you by Global Stream. That
tell you.
We're just having a look right
I'm
now.
a
The eastbound 401 approaching Brock Street. We've got two left lanes blocked for construction. And of course, it's very, very slow through that area. If you're on the westbound 401, west of Dixon, two left lanes are also blocked. So the backup is from approaching Dixon. And then we've got work on the westbound 401 from Allen to Dufferin in the collectors, and two left lanes also blocked. So it was a little bit slow through there. We've got a serious crash on the southbound 404 at south of Mulock. The right lane is blocked. Emergency crews are on the scene. The backup is jammed from south of Davis Drive. If you're traveling right now on the northbound 400, well, you'll notice that you can't get onto the northbound 400 because it's closed from the 401 all the way up to the 407 for bridge construction. In the meantime, you can use alternates such as Highway 27, Islington, Weston, or even Keele. Now, Toronto bound on the QEW, we've got work on the Burlington Skyway Bridge. In fact, on the upside of the bridge, two left lanes are blocked, so it was backed up to Nikola Tesla.
Oh,
And
well, then the road after,
QEW,
right in between all the car
Dixie,
plants.
we've got three left lanes, giving you only one lane to
They
get
go to
through.
business because
The
the
backup
Japanese did
is
better
from
job.
just east of
The
here,
Chinese did
Ontario.
as
It's
good a job as the
absolutely jammed
Japanese
solid
without
through
the
that
automated
area.
equipment.
Eastbound Gardner, we're seeing delays approaching the Jameson ramp, mainly in the right lane. And you can't forget that the eastbound Lakeshore, we've got active TO, so it is closed from Windermere over to Stadium, and again from Leslie over to Woodbine. Jim and Ross invite you to download hockey's favorite podcast, The Suspendables, and celebrate episode number 50 with the great one himself, Wayne Gretzky. Your next traffic report is at 9:51. Right now, let's get the forecast. Michelle Nelson.
If you're a fan of heat and humidity, this really is your weekend. It's officially summer and we have widespread heat warnings in place. It's mostly going to be dry for tonight under clear skies, but we are watching out for some more isolated thunderstorms and showers for north and western sections of the GTA. Grab lots of water if you're heading out for active TO this weekend. Tomorrow, 30 degrees, feeling like 35 for Father's Day. The forecast is looking great, just the slight chance of showers, possibly an isolated thunderstorm late afternoon. Your overnight low is 19.
That's like a
Downtown
fucking
Toronto right now, we're sitting at
continuous
26 degrees, a few clouds, and over at Pearson Airport, similar conditions there as well. 680 News Time, 9:44.
Lowe's would like to raise a hammer to everyone who got used to their new conference room. We're looking at Main 6 right now. We're talking about the projections for Q3. Wow. It's summer, and it's time to build that extra room outside. Find everything you need to build your dream backyard at Lowe's.ca and enjoy parcel and truck delivery as well as curbside pickup. Conditions apply. Lowe's, make your yard your home. Rogers is working with over 150 hospitals across Canada, extending Wi-Fi coverage and raising donations for frontline workers to ensure the most important connections can always be made.
And $20 million to the food bank. And I swear, I get the most paranoid thoughts. I think it's Rogers who don't fucking like you for all the times you tried to scam me because the money from me.
Donate today at frontlinefund.ca.
I can't figure out why my machine won't work, the internet's not working, blah, blah, blah. Rogers, yes, Rogers, compared to this, $20 million, blah, 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 blah. As soon as the story is, everything's working.
It's 26 degrees with a partly cloudy sky. Good evening from the 680 News Broadcast Center in downtown Toronto. I'm Madison Fitzpatrick. Here are the top stories this hour. A 62-year-old man is dead after an altercation in Mississauga with killed police. The SIU has now been notified, and we'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour on this ongoing story. After a video circulated online showing a male being shoved around by 4 halted police officers, the department is now investigating, and that said officer in the video has now been suspended. And Toronto might still be stuck in stage 1 of the province reopening plan, but many regions in Ontario have already shifted into stage 2 and currently enjoying the warm weather this weekend. 680 News Time, 9:45. Now, 680 Sports from Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Here is Colin Teskey.
Bit of history at the Belmont Stakes. It was the first time it was the first Triple Crown race. Normally it is the last one. The race took place in front of an empty stadium, and Tiz the Law becomes the first horse bred in New York to win on home soil since 1880. 82. We have a four-way tie atop the leaderboard at the RBC Heritage Open after round 3. Terrell Hatton, Webb Simpson, Abraham Answer, and Ryan Palmer all tied at -15 heading into the final round. COVID-19 surges in the U.S. have complicated baseball getting spring training underway. Bob Nightingale of USA Today Sports is reporting the teams are now going to host spring training in their own cities instead of grouping together in Florida and Arizona. This gets tricky for the Blue Jays since Canada and the U.S. still have their borders closed and players will have to quarantine for 14 days when they arrive in Toronto. Some English Premier League scores for you. Crystal Palace blanking Bournemouth 2-0. Wolves also topping West Ham by the same score. Brighton upset Arsenal 2-1. Watford tied Leicester City 1-1. Sports at 15 at 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca.
As more local community businesses and services reopen and with gatherings increased to 10 people, we must continue our efforts to protect each other. Practice physical distancing. Stay 2 meters apart. Wear a face covering when physical distancing is a challenge, and continue to wash hands frequently. Get tested if you're worried you may have COVID-19 or have been exposed to the virus. Inside or out, stay safe, save lives. Visit ontario.ca/coronavirus to learn more. Paid for by the Government of Ontario. Stay home, self-isolate. Homeless youth need a safe place to stay too. Covenant House remains open 24/7, serving more than 300 youth a day. Our frontline staff are working around the clock to keep homeless youth healthy and safe during this pandemic. We continue to provide food, shelter, medical care, counseling, and more. We can't do this without your help. For $40, you can feed and shelter a youth for a day. Go to covenanthousetoronto.ca to donate. We're all in this together.
While our trust in many companies has been eroding over the years, we have now hit an all-time low.
The Consumption Brand Trust Study suggests people are more conscious of their purchasing habits and are more closely watching the values brands stand for. Over the past few years, telecom companies were showing signs of trouble with declines in brand trust scores, but this pandemic has resulted in more trust in the big four telecoms. The ongoing COVID crisis also impacted our trust in companies like Clorox and Lysol. While there was increased demand, they lost trust on consumers due to the scarcity of their products on store shelves.
That doesn't even make sense. You fucking idiot.
Since that demographic tends to assign their loyalties to organizations that are proactive in solving long-standing social issues and contribute to making the world a better place. I'm D. Wright Sealer.
6 City News Time 9:49. While U.S. Attorney General William Barr told the top federal prosecutor
it's floating, slow to come ahead, must keep going, gotta keep flowing. These drugs take funding, all this getting stung, yellow and running.
To another year, but that's what if you highlight hair. So headlines, if you don't fucking care, I don't. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs.
Until there was a Senate confirmed nominee. Berman could now ask the court that appointed him to declare that he is entitled to stay. Aaron Kudrowski, ABC News, New York.
6 City News Time 9:49. Well, an arrest warrant has been issued for a woman who was seen burning a Wendy's restaurant in Atlanta during protest over the police shooting of Richard Brooks. The Wendy's burned down the next day after the authorities say Brooks was shot twice in the back by police officers who were charged with murder after he tried to run from officers who were checking on a sleeping person in the Wendy's parking lot.
You had 26 minutes and then you're like, come on. How far did you get? It's the state line right there. You're pretty sure you killed the guy the day before.
Is a suspect of the arson. Post includes
you don't have no sense of sportsmanship. Taste
no additional
hey, Negro, we're going to get you. Come on, chase him down, chase his ass down.
From the COVID-19
you can do it. Oh, why you say you did
it? We chase George Floyd. The world is reeling with chaos, so it is no wonder waves of fear and uncertainty are infiltrating our thoughts and our homes.
That's a lot of work for a
tells us she has 6 simple ways to bring calm to your life.
To see the eyes go,
international speaker and author of the Tao of Influence says when we get intentional about creating a calm home environment, we can better cope with the upheaval going on in the world. She recommends starting the day with a calming morning routine.
Racial theories behind the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, actually, probably the HRA coming up
even just going to the washroom, washing your face,
and saying, you know, I'm going to have a great day, instead of feeding into the negativity.
For other tips, decide what a calm low means to you, then express it through your surroundings. Do some spring cleaning and include your thoughts, not just your possessions. Once you are aware of negative thoughts, release them and fully feel your emotions.
Fuck you! And your awareness.
680 News Time, 9:51. Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. How are the roads looking out there, Colette?
Well, lots of construction really causing delays. This report brought to you by 407 ETR.
You whip up some
So on the
75
westbound
to
401 west of
110
Dixon, we've got 2 lanes blocked. So the backup is from approaching Dixon. It's absolutely packed solid. And also from the Allen to Dufferin. Actually, it's going to be from the Allen to Keel. Collector lanes will be closing overnight. So that's going to be some construction overnight. So in the meantime, what they're going to be doing is shutting down the ramps, the on-ramps from Keel, Dufferin, and also you're going to find that the ramp from westbound 401 to southbound Allen, that's going to be closed as well. So lots of work on the westbound 401 tonight. Now, if you're on the eastbound 401, we had some emergency road work at Trafalgar, and it was blocking the left lane, but the good news, it wasn't causing a delay. However, what they've done is they've shut the ramp from southbound Trafalgar onto the eastbound 401 to complete this work. And then we also have construction in the east end on the eastbound 401 approaching Brock Street. 2 left lanes are blocked, so it's just slow through that stretch. Keep in mind, of course, the biggest construction that's going on is on the northbound 400.
That is exactly what a sinkhole was.
Bridge construction from the 401 up to the 407. All lanes are closed, but you can always use an alternate, such as Jane, Highway 27, Islington, Weston, or even Keel. If you're on the southbound 404, we have a crash. And south of Mulot, the right lane was blocked off the emergency cruiser on the scene. The backup is from south of Davis as a result, so it's jammed through that area. Turnabout on the QEW at the Burlington Skyway Bridge. 2 lanes are blocked. At last check, it was almost backed up from Nikola Tesla. And eastbound on the QEW, quite the work that's going on east of Dixie.
You just throw words around. They don't mean anything.
The backup was from east of here, Ontario. And if you're on the eastbound Gardner, well, it's been a pretty good drive into the city. However, approaching the Jameson ramp, the right lane is blocked. Everyone's backing up. And of course, we've got active TF.
Oh, it's good into the city till you get to the fucking city. Jesus Christ.
And from Leslie to Woodbine. The good news, Parliament has reopened at Dundas. A police investigation has cleared. 407 ETR is helping communities and hospitals with a $5.2 million donation to United Way and GTHA hospitals. Learn more at 407etr.com. Your next report is at 10 o'clock. Right now, let's get the forecast. Michelle Nelson.
Dry for most of us tonight, but we still have the risk for some isolated showers and thunderstorms, more likely north and west of the city. The muggy conditions that we have had, those will last throughout the weekend. We have widespread heat warnings in place, so take it easy out there. For Father's Day tomorrow, it's going to be another hot and humid day, sunny and 30 degrees. It's going to feel more like 35. We have a very high UV index, so grab the sun protection and lots of water. We'll be spending the day outside. We could see some more isolated activity late afternoon, similar to what we saw today, but conditions will be great barbecue weather. Still hot and humid into Tuesday. We do have the chance of some showers and thunderstorms Monday and Tuesday. We'll see temperatures come down back to seasonal by midweek. Your overnight low is 19. Downtown Toronto right now, we're sitting at 26 degrees of deep clouds in the sky over Pearson Airport. Similar conditions there as well. Coming up at 10 o'clock, the latest on a 62-year-old man has lost his life after an interaction with Peel police officers. 680 News Time, 9:55.
This extended forecast is brought to you by Scotia iTrade. Direct invest with Scotia iTrade. Get started in 3 easy steps and begin your investing journey from home today. Learn more at ScotiaITrade.com.
We'll ask renovators how good they're feeling about getting outside this summer. Are you kidding? Look at my smiles. This is radio. Oh, sorry.
You don't want to take this shit apart when you're fucked up and try to put it together when you're sober.
Hey, dude. You're killing the vibe. With parcel and truck delivery, curbside pickup, and DIY project video, find everything you need for backyard projects at Rowan.ca. Do more at home, outside. Conditions apply. helping you navigate our new world.
And looking forward to when life resumes.
Listen 3, 4, 5 times a day. This is 680 News.
Keep on top of the world from your home or office. E-Time Elite Traveler offers the best performance in radio reception and audio quality, and has the looks to match with an elegant leather case and craftsman stitching that signifies style in its finest form. Whether you're listening to a local radio station or signals from a faraway land, make E-Time's radios your go-to source. Listen to the world. The Elite Traveler Radio is available online at ca.com.
You go to camshaft before you go to tiny train. You don't really have a problem. You have
Greenland
like
is
a
getting
flu.
ready for their 2020
buy lottery
season to provide a safe, fun outdoor experience for the whole family to enjoy. With
you win the
wide
race at
spaces,
least?
rides for the kids big and small, exciting animal exhibits, and great spots for families to picnic. Marineland has it all. They're opening soon and can't wait to see your family having fun at the park this summer. Visit greenland.ca to learn more about the reopening plans for 2020.
We have that on these fucking airtimes.
680 News time at 9:56.
Oh,
Now the 680 News Business Report.
I'm Mike Apple. If they weren't already working on a digital strategy, well, businesses of all sizes have been forced to rethink an online presence and modernization. And a program unveiled this week could help. It's called the Recovery Activation Program. Jan De Silva is the president and CEO of the Toronto Region Board of Trade, explaining what it's all about.
It's a program we developed here in Toronto, and the federal government and provincial government liked it so much they gave us funding to expand it through the province. COVID has changed everything for our businesses. It's really severed the physical face-to-face way that we've done business for so long. And so what the Recovery Activation Program does, it helps businesses identify opportunities to put digital tools in place to enable them to continue to do sales and marketing, to support their manufacturing and supply chain, and to enable their back office, like employees who are working from home, to work together as productively as possible.
Now, the series of interactive workshops provide businesses with up to $40,000 worth of training through 3 stages.
The first is a webinar that helps build a business owner's digital IQ in terms of what are the areas that could potentially be digitized within their business. The second phase is then for the business owners to actually do on their own business a digital needs assessment. And the final phase, which is direct mentoring to help the business owner build their own digital transformation blueprint.
De Silva says they're looking to help all types of businesses retool for a digital future.
Businesses that are supporting multiple operations, they may be in retail, they may be in manufacturing, they may be in professional services. The City of Toronto also has a program called Shop Here, and that's specifically for Main Street businesses to create their own online e-commerce presence.
That's Jan De Silva, the president and CEO of the Toronto Region Board of Trade. For more information about the Recovery Activation Program, go to the website bot.com. And at the Business Center, I'm Mike Apple.
The fucking Howard City of Toronto Realty.
And every Toyota is sold in a way that keeps you.
Why is it Toronto.ca/rap?
Rooms and service departments are open and sanitized regularly.
DLT.
Physical distancing
I'm not typing it in. I don't know where that goes.
Or contactless service.
Me and Toronto.ca have been dealing with each other
for 6
since
months
the
when you
90s.
finance
I
most
don't know who
new
you are.
Toyota
You're not getting
models.
in my cookies.
So if you're in the market for a Toyota, contact your local dealer or visit shoptoyota.ca. We're ready when you are.
The big summer sale has arrived at Dodds Garage Doors. Save hundreds of dollars on garage doors with our summer blowout sale. Find Canada's top quality Dodds door now and get 0% financing from Dodds Garage Doors. That's right, 0% financing. Offer ends June 30th. Save now.
DODES. Remember, no one does it better than Dodds does.
No one. Now, 680 News regional weather conditions for Coy Brothers.
The Stihl MS-170 chainsaw makes the perfect Father's Day gift,
especially when it's on sale
Boy,
for
listen
$199.
now.
Stihl at Coy Brothers.
KOO.
And the boys are down at Home Depot. Oh, I hope it's recording.
For breaking news, traffic, and weather, this is 680 News. Toronto.
Oh, shit. What the fuck are you doing?
You're listening to China Plus Radio, connecting you with China and the
boys are gonna take, me and the half-breeds are gonna take the HEMI down to
Now the
Home Depot.
news. I'm Zhou Fang. Beijing has conducted nucleic acid tests on nearly 2.3 million people in its efforts to contain the resurgence of domestically transmitted COVID-19 cases. Since June 11th, the city has reported 205 confirmed cases of locally transmitted COVID-19. The cases were found to be related to the Xinfadi agricultural wholesale market. The city has the ability to sample an average of 500,000 people per day, up from the previous 8,000.
What about sickle cell
The number of
tests?
confirmed COVID-19 cases in Brazil reached over 1 million on Friday after the country registered a new record of more than 54,000 cases within the past 24 hours. The tally is only second to that of the United States, whose caseload is more than 2.2 million. The death toll from the pandemic in Brazil has surpassed 48,000. The state of São Paulo continues to be the epicenter of the virus outbreak in the country. Despite the rising number of cases, the regional government of São Paulo authorized the opening of training sessions for professional sports clubs. A campaign spokesman says 6 staffers working on President Donald Trump's upcoming rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, have tested positive for the coronavirus. The announcement comes hours ahead of the Tulsa rally, the first of its kind for Trump in more than 3 months. Health experts are warning against large-scale gatherings, as some states are seeing a surge in confirmed cases while they are reopening. President Donald Trump has fired attorney for the Southern District of New York, Jeffrey Berman, who refused to step down over unfinished investigations. Attorney General William Barr has accused Berman of choosing public spectacle over public service. Trump has announced his intention to nominate chairman of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, Jay Clayton, to replace Berman. Berman ran the probe that sent Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, to prison. He's also reportedly investigating the president's current personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. A federal judge has ruled that former National Security Advisor John Bolton can move forward in publishing his book. The decision has been made despite efforts by the Trump administration to block the release because of concerns that classified information could be exposed. Bolton's book, The Room Where It Happened, a White House memoir, is set to be published next week. At least 3 people have been killed with 2 critically injured in a serious stabbing incident in southern England. Local media says the incident in Reading is terror-related. A man was arrested at the scene and is now in custody. China's top legislature has reviewed a draft law on safeguarding national security in Hong Kong. The draft law was submitted for deliberation at a session of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress from Thursday to Saturday. The draft requires the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region to establish a Commission of Safeguarding National Security. It says the commission shall be supervised by and accountable to the Central People's Government. It adds that the Hong Kong Commission of Safeguarding National Security shall be chaired by the Chief Executive and establish the post of the National Security Advisor, who shall be appointed by the Central Government. China's top legislature has condemned the European Parliament's latest resolution, which makes unwarranted criticism against its formulation of the national security legislation in Hong Kong. A spokesperson for the Foreign Affairs Committee of the National People's Congress says the European Parliament has made groundless accusations against China over Hong Kong affairs. The spokesperson also says national security legislation for Hong Kong is still China's internal affairs. Ambassador Liu Xiaoming says China.
Around 8 o'clock this evening, the man stopped communicating with police, which is when they entered the residence.
They believe he might have access to weapons in his house. Really? You don't have a hammer or a screwdriver or a kitchen knife in your house. Their justification for somehow they interacted and killed him. He might have had a weapon in his house.
Showing 4 Halton police officers shoving a young man down to the ground. As 680's Tim Chapman reports, Halton police are investigating the conduct of 4 of their officers.
The video appears to show 4 Halton police officers involved in an altercation that saw a young man repeatedly pushed to the ground. He was allegedly trespassing in what appears to be a business area parking lot in Oakville. Oakville Mayor Rob Burton tells 680 News he condemns the actions in the video without reservation.
I can tell you that the board and I will not stand for that kind of behavior.
Burton says he's glad the chief of police has suspended the officer in question and continues he's looking forward to the investigation that ensues. I'm Jen Chapman.
I much prefer the
Meantime, Toronto police are looking for a man who is wanted and considered armed and dangerous. Police say that 23-year-old Jason Addis of Toronto was allegedly had made threats to harm multiple people in the GTA using Molotov cocktails and other means. He's described as 6'2", 215 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. If you do see him, do not approach him, and you are asked to call police immediately. This is All News Radio 680 News at 10:07. Heat warnings will be in effect all weekend long for the GTA with temperatures pushing into the mid-30s through. All Toronto's patios are empty, just a short drive from the city. Other regions are entering stage 2. 680's Michelle Mackey reports from Oakville. While Toronto region has been excluded from phase 2 of reopening, patio season is booming in Oakville. Lena and her friends are pretty excited for that long-awaited cold beverage.
It's pretty remarkable. I feel like there's life again, I guess, in the city of Oakville right now, for sure. We were really looking forward to doing this again.
Now, hopefully they can find a cool spot because I can tell you the heat is overwhelming. And 680 weather specialist Michelle Nelson says heat warnings are expected to stick around all weekend.
Well, if you're a fan of the heat, this really is your weekend. We are looking at daytime highs around 30 degrees, but it's going to feel more like 35.
Everybody
sick out there.
Needless to say,
finally did. You got upset that the government couldn't fix the problem.
I'm Michelle
how come the economy's closed?
And while
it's
we
not.
want to
You
wait to
idiots got
enter
excluded
stage
from
2 of reopening, there are still things you can do around the city while staying safe. 680's Zahir Hashimi has more on the COVID-19 risk scale.
As the province begins to reopen, a group of university health professionals rank what were once everyday activities on a risk scale from 0 to 10. The Associate Dean of Science at York University tells the Toronto Star, quote, we're at that point where if we're intelligent about this, you can do some things.
And he tells this motherfucker not to ever say, oh, with an apostrophe on it. With the exact same accent, otherwise.
At a 1, playing basketball, visiting the elderly, or going to a public school came in at a 3 out of 10. On the higher end of the scale were things like going to a kid's birthday party, a church, or eating inside a restaurant. While this isn't a scientific study, its intention is to get people to think about risk assessment as the province continues to reopen. I'm Zahir Hashimi.
680 News Time 10:09. Things are wrapped up in Tulsa, Oklahoma after President Donald Trump's campaign rally tonight. Supporters trickled into the indoor arena, much less than Trump officials had projected earlier this week. Trump tried to explain the crowd size, blaming it on fake news.
We begin our campaign, and I just want to thank all of you. You are warriors. I've been watching the fake news for weeks
You
now.
just false flag, motherfucker. Shut your fucking mouth, pussy, or
Don't go, don't come, don't do anything today. It was like, I've never seen anything like it.
He also insisted there were protesters outside, quote, doing bad things, though the small crowds of pre-rally demonstrators were largely peaceful. U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, meantime, says low turnout was actually due to fake ticket reservations, tweeting out, quote, actually, you just got rocked by teens on TikTok. Shout out to Zoomers.
Let us off and find out what to wear. The best weather reports in the city every 10 minutes.
You realize your competitor that used to own you now owns the station that trademarked the word Zoomers.
Gas will not change at midnight, holding at $1.49 a liter at most GTA stations. Traffic and weather together next. 680 News Time 10:10.
This is 680 News.
Good morning. Good workouts. Good coffee. Good meetings. Good game. Good friends.
Zoomer wouldn't know what the fuck TikTok was. Oh, yeah, it's a dumb word to try to appropriate.
And our stores are now open. Or shop our amazing deals online. Sleep well, stay well. Sleep Country. 680 News Time 10:11. It's time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Colette Deschartin.
Thanks. And right now I'm just having a look at the westbound 401. If you are In the Whitby area, west of Dixon, 2 left lanes are blocked for construction. So the back of it is solid jammed from approaching Dixon as a result. And also, don't forget, if you're on the east or westbound 401, we have got the ramp shut down to the northbound 400. That's because northbound 400 is closed from the 401 all the way up to the 407 for bridge construction until Monday morning at 5. So in the meantime, you've got Highway 27, you've got Islington, Weston, or even Keele as alternates. Now on the flip side, southbound 400, the ramps to and from Finch, they remain closed for construction. May still have a crash on the southbound 404, causing quite the delay. And south of Mulock, the right lane was blocked. Emergency crews on the scene. The backup from Davis Drive as a result. Toronto bound on the QEW over the Burlington Skyway Bridge. 2 left lanes taken out for road work, so the backup was from almost Nikola Tesla. Eastbound on the QEW east of Dixie, 3 left lanes are shut down.
Yeah, Nikola Tesla gets Nikola
Tesla. Ontario. And if you're traveling on the eastbound Gardner, just having a look at the Toronto transportation cameras, well, that big lineup we had approaching the Jameson ramp, that has finally eased off. And don't forget, of course, if you're going to plan on using the eastbound Lakeshore, well, it is closed for active TO from Windermere to Stadium and from Leslie over to Woodbine. Your next traffic report at 10:21. Right now, let's get the forecast. Michelle Nelson.
If you're a fan of the heat and humidity, this really is your weekend. It's officially summer and we have widespread heat warnings in place. It's mostly going to be dry for tonight under clear skies, but we are watching out for some more isolated thunderstorms and showers for north and western sections of the GTA. Grab lots of water if you're heading out for active TO this weekend. Tomorrow, 30 degrees, feeling like 35 for Father's Day. The forecast is looking great, just a slight chance of showers, possibly an isolated thunderstorm late afternoon. Your overnight low is 19.
Right now in downtown Toronto, few clouds, 26 degrees, but feeling more like 30 with the humidex. And at Pearson Airport, similar conditions and 26 as well. So to come on 680 News, a list of our top stories and sports. 680 News Time, 10:13.
Alexa, what station has the best breaking news, traffic, and weather?
680 News, obviously.
Being a new mom isn't easy.
You got like 60 seconds to do it.
But hugging's easy. Loving's easy. And baby D drops are easy too. Simply apply just 1 drop where baby feeds. There's no taste, so it doesn't interfere with feeding. Pediatricians recommend vitamin D daily for breastfed infants. Baby D drops, the sunshine vitamin in just 1 drop. Make the most of what comes next. With a bank account that gives you more. With the Scotiabank Ultimate Package, you can get a boost to your savings, unlimited Interac e-transfer transactions, and a $300 welcome bonus. So make the most of what comes next with the Scotiabank Ultimate Package. For a limited time, conditions apply. Visit Scotiabank.com/ultimate300. Scotiabank.
Soul News Radio, 680 News.
Yeah, they want your car to suck in cold air, right?
26 degrees in downtown Toronto. Good evening. 680 News Broadcast Center on News Brother. And I'm Madison Fitzpatrick. Here are the top stories this hour. A 63-year-old man is dead after an altercation with Peel police. According to officers, the man had barricaded himself in his Mississauga home with weapons. The SIU has been notified of the incident. One officer has been suspended in Halton region after a video circulating online showing a young man being punched around by 4 officers in an empty Oakville plaza. Temperatures are only continuing to rise as the weekend goes on. Heat warnings are in place for the GTA and extended weather forecasts together on the lines just a few moments away. For more on these stories, you can head over to 680news.com. 680 News Time, 10:15. 680 Sports with Sportsnet on Now the Fan. Here's Colin Teskey.
Bit of history at the Belmont 6. It was the first time, it was the first Triple Crown race. Normally it is the last one. The race took place in front of MD Stadium, and Tis the Law becomes the first horse bred in New York to win on home soil. COVID-19 surges in the U.S. have complicated baseball and getting spring training.
Fucking head when I look up, there's also some more weird shit,
USA Today Sports is reporting the teams are not going to host spring training in their own cities.
Everybody
instead
knows
of
I
grouping
don't do
together
this.
in Florida and Arizona. This gets tricky for the Blue Jays since Canada and the U.S. still have their borders closed and players will have to quarantine for 14 days when they arrive in Toronto. Some English Premier League scores for you. Crystal Palace blanking Bournemouth 2-0. Wolves also topping West Ham by the same score. Brighton upset Arsenal 2-1. Watford tied Leicester City 1-1. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca.
You don't have that right in
Your
the
home
US,
is your castle,
dumbass.
your refuge, your safe
Or are
place
you
on
American?
the
Why are you trying to come back here? Who's coming back to Canada?
disappear. And we're good at it.
These motherfuckers are American.
And cleaner, and you'll feel happier. We promise. Give us a call or go to our website, and your junk will magically disappear as our truck drives past your home. We'll be in and out before you can. And our gloves professionals
Somewhere here will be music. God damn it.
Team that will turn your summer into the summer of Volvo. Volvo of Toronto is waiving the first 3 payments when you lease select in-stock 2020 models, including
It's
the
normal for it
XC90,
to
a
just
beautiful
completely be
blend of
wiped out.
performance
Every
and
fucking
technology.
time I go to
Or
use
save an
it, 3
additional
times in a row,
$1,000 when
completely
you
clear
finance
from the
or
memory
pay
for no
cash.
reason. That's
Remember,
normal.
Volvo of Toronto is
That
here
happens
for
all
you
by
with
itself
exceptional
all the
service,
fucking
even
time.
in difficult times. Visit Volvo of Toronto,
I'm gonna sit
downtown
there and wait for
Manchurian
it to
Front,
load,
or
but it won't load because
volvooftoronto.com.
it's big ping.
680
That's
News Time
right,
1018. Our trust in brands is
It's
at an
not
all-time
loaded.
low.
That.
USAID is
Hey,
finding
these are
customers
back
have
on your
grown
own.
more
How the fuck
conscious
did
of
that
what they
happen?
buy.
We're also paying closer
No, I'm
attention
supposed to
to
talk about the goddamn nation, and every fucking time I turn around, I gotta deal with you bots
are less trusting compared to any other generation and tend to assign their loyalties to organizations that are proactive in solving long-standing social issues.
Don't
For
fucking
example, Lush, with its history of donating to progressive groups and advocating for many causes, was the most trusted brand among young people. During this COVID pandemic, the research found brands like Lysol and Clorox that were unable to make products available to customers saw a decline in trust scores. The initial 2020 study took place at the beginning of the year, while this follow-up shows Mount Equipment Co-op, CAA, Costco Home Hardware, Home Depot ranked as the top brands overall. I'm D-Rex Siegler.
680 News Time 1018. A federal judge is ruling that former U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton may move forward in publishing his memoir, but still takes issue with how it's happening.
Former National Security Advisor John Bolton can move forward in publishing his book, a judge ruled Saturday, titled The Room Where It Happened. Bolton's memoir about his time in the Trump administration was being challenged by the president and Attorney General William Barr, who claim it contains sensitive, classified information. The administration filed an injunction in federal court to stop the book from being released, but Saturday's ruling allows Bolton to go ahead and publish it. But the judge did raise grave national security concerns. The president calling the acknowledged concerns, quote, a big win against Bolton. Andrew Dimber, ABC News, Washington.
Tensions are rising between the two frontrunners of the federal conservative leadership race here after unproven allegations of hacking. Aaron O'Toole's campaign has accused Peter MacKay's team of stealing confidential campaign data. They dismissed the allegations as a preposterous political ploy. O'Toole's campaign issued a press release early last night. No proof or documentation has been provided about an investigation to O'Toole's side until they say they've discovered the theft. 680 News Time 1019. Another major road closure on Highway 400 this weekend. After closing southbound lanes last weekend, northbound lanes are now closed from the 407 to the 401 for bridge work at Finch Avenue West. Matt Llewellyn with Metrolink says crews will be doing a rapid bridge replacement.
What it really is traffic disruption for many years. I think many drivers have experienced that and just limits closures to 2 weekends. So really short your pace for long-term gain here.
The work is for the Finch West Light Rail Transit Project. All closures will be reopening by 5 o'clock Monday morning.
How the fuck my grandfather got
680
it?
News Time 1020. Couples who've had to change their wedding plans due to the COVID-19 pandemic can now get married at Vancouver City Hall. Nikki Alexis, who married her partner Ronnie Jones yesterday afternoon, said their original plans were shelved.
We decided that it wasn't safe for us to have a gathering of over 50 people on our original plan.
It wasn't in what most people would call a camp. The Netherlands was an open air camp. It was occupied. That's right, insurgents and infidels. Exact same word.
City staff say they will judge the popularity of the pilot project at the end of the summer. Exceeding news time 10:21. It's time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Colette Desjardins.
Thanks. And looking at this report is brought to you by Arrow Furniture. Just having a look right now at the westbound 401. First of all, west of Dixon, 2 left lanes are blocked for good. Plus, we'll have a lot of ramp close through this stretch, so the ramp to westbound 401 should Keel and Dufferin getting on to the westbound 401.
Raise a shot to another fucking year. Let that blood, if you highlight air, start that line, if you don't fucking care. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs.
I do everything I want. I do everything I want. I can do anything I want. I can do anything I want.
I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I'm gonna eat you up. I'm in the club, I'm gonna have a party. I'm gonna live it up. Take another pill for another shot. Here's another depth. I can never get enough. Need enough so wicked less. Yeah, I'm a dirty ass, grimy light skin. That's how I keep my motivation. I'll be fine with just a chord. That way can be on top of my zone. I don't need to scatter my thoughts. When I'm reciting lyrical miracles, everything else to me don't matter. Watch your back. I'm a vicious ass rapper. Fuck the jelly before the peanut butter.
A month goes snow and 2 days goes hail.
I'm a drug blaster, always doing what I want. Try and stop me, motherfucker. Raise a shot to another fucking year. Light that blunt if you highlight air. Snort that line if you don't.
Being intended for us to walk around when we're hanging out.
I do drugs, I do drugs.
When does it hit 110 fucking degrees inside the cell?
I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs.
I'm a fire it up like it's a fresh doobie. No, you silly flamers, not that chili day movie. My mind is kinda screwy from drugs I'm doing, but I don't think that I'm really losing. All of the boozing and shooting has got my mind oozing. These lyrics for you floozies. Don't say you know me, I lost all my homies. They all overdose shit. You ain't in my foldies.
Where they at?
Just ate a gummy, now everything is floating. Snort a couple addies, I must keep going. Gotta keep flowing. These drugs take funding. Always steady stunting. Yeah, we fucking running.
Raise a shot to another fucking year. Light that blunt if you highlight air. Getting high that line if you don't fucking care. I don't. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs.
I do everything I want. I do everything I want.
I can do anything I want. We can do anything we want. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs. Yeah, we do. I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs.
Cody King and overdose, ain't no little pump, bitch. Did a fat ringer while Cody's doing bunch trick. All day, hit the ground running. Couple beats and bitch, you know we steady buzzing.
Yeah, I can do anything I want. 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 I do drugs, I do drugs, I do drugs.
Twice for the one.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, mama, no shit, raise no Twitter. Just like a man on Twitter. Just like a fairy tale. So if you with me, get your goddamn hands. Yeah, mama, no shit, raise no Twitter. Just like a man on Twitter. Get my props just like a fairy tale. So if you with me, get your goddamn hands up. Right, listen in, teach you some discipline. The ABSTR, against the wicked best boss. Don't come out with the dark. Against the second Iron Man, the Tony Starks. With the boom bar, y'all sound like kittens. Blow your mind all the time when the freestyle the ring. Did you bring your mittens? Better grab a sweater. Smells like their hostesses. I roasted it. I'm so much better. We're not gonna be conceited. Just trying to get noticed, but I'll do it regardless of whether my dreams are hopeless. So don't lose focus. No HD, do it for hip hop. So thank God for my ABCs. Yeah, and still you know where I'm coming from. When the mic is live, you could call it troublesome. Damn, there goes another one, biting the dust rapidly. Call me your majesty, I took the crown so drastically. All those rapping after me, best to bring your A game. While I maintain the elevation of an airplane. On another level level, recognize it's abstract. Say I'm good, yo, Matty Hood, bring the hook back. And mama knows shit, raised on Twitter. Now follow me just like a fan on Twitter. You know I'm going to get my props just like I'm Carrot Top. So if you with me, get your goddamn hands up. And mama knows shit, raised on Twitter. Now follow me just like a fan on Twitter. You know I'm going to get my props just like I'm Carrot Top. So if you with me, get your goddamn hands. Now we've all been through the highs and the lows. Continue carrying on with the rhymes and the flows. Keep your head held high and always stay focused. Make your magic happen and poof, it's hocus. Like I wave my magic wand and make amazing happen. Ain't the NBA, but you could say I'm full court trapping. Yeah, I got this shit on lock and consistently getting better after each tick-tock of the clock. What do I gotta prove to get it through to you? Nothing in the way of the dreams that I pursue. Everybody needs one, cause once it's yours, it's yours. A wise man once told me that when it rains, it pours. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, life's what you make it, and this world's mine for the taking. So step aside, your reflection's in my rear view. No surprise, my eyes got a THC crystal clear. And mama knows shit, raised on Twitter. Now follow me just like a fan on Twitter. You know I'm to get my props just like I'm Carrot Top. So if you with me, get your goddamn hands up. Yeah. Mama knows shit, raised on Twitter. Now follow me just like a fan on Twitter. You know I'm to get my props just like I'm Carrot Top. So if you with me, get your goddamn hands up. Alright, well, if you haven't caught on yet, you should know that I terrorize like a bomb threat. Putting in work, my soul heart into every line and ball full of pride, confidence high. Yo, man, it's Salazar. Give you a sample of what you can handle, and if you wanna gamble, get burnt like a candle. The skill level's ample, my stampede will trample. It's Halloween and I got the goods. Come get a handful.
In the middle, it's all right. Two fucking strange niggas, they don't end up race, but they don't bother with no love, they let it race. Like the Russian machine cycle 3 times and then they go recycle, reload, recharge, and recoup. I don't think you'll understand referring, you stupid dude, you fool. I know what do you do for the ones and twos and the twos. It's a big long murder. I want to buy you this one, man. A murder chick. Hey. She's broke, man. To catch up. I gave some 10,000 in her life. How you call yourself a fag? What the fuck? How is that legal? Hold on. Back in the day when a nigga had his burner, all these fake niggas acting like I didn't curse ya. Cock it back and let it rip, it won't be a first ya. In the hood with my gun, niggas go lurk ya. All these fake niggas holler when I'm up, no when I start in my hill, I don't give a fuck, call me on, pick it up, stomach like it's been rough. Niggas think it won't shoot, now bitch call my bluff. I'm chopping, I'm getting real hot. Then it's strapped with a clean squirt like a mop. Extended clip with the huddles, that's on my Glock. It's outside, read apart, that's where I rock. Outside, that's where I rock. Extended clip, hang the Glock. Dirty strap, cleans like I'm up. Hey. I'm out with the lava. Hey. Back in the day when a nigga had his burner, all these fake niggas acting like I didn't curse ya. Cock it back and let it rip, it won't be a first ya. In the hood with my gun, niggas go lurk ya. Back in the day when a nigga had his burner, all these fake niggas acting like I didn't curse ya. Cock it back and let it rip, it won't be a first ya. In the hood with my gun, niggas go lurk ya. One day nigga gon' be rich with my dog, but the video get her in a big crib. I don't check a fucking basketball, never fucking capture in that bag, nigga. I'ma do a couple laps. Stacking, I'm getting that guap. And nigga talk tough like you ain't really hot. City last week, nigga seen you get stomped. Why the fuck you acting like you really on a block? You ain't on a block, you be talking to the cops trying to get me knocked in. Kicked in the door looking for a gun. Lame ass niggas, you already bums. Go to bed hungry, nigga, are you fucking dumb? Chase that nigga down the block, I made him fucking run. Always been about the shit since I was really young. Kicking doors, stopping niggas just for the fun. Southside Richard Park, that's where the day when a nigga had his burner. All these fake niggas acting like I didn't curse ya. Cock it back and let it rip, it won't be a first ya. In the hood with my gun, niggas go lurk ya. Back in the day when a nigga had his burner, all these fake niggas acting like I didn't curse ya. Cock it back and let it rip, it won't be a first ya. In the hood with my gun, niggas go lurk ya. Pretendering Jesus. Replace replacing a fuel pump? Do this one thing first. Click here to find out more. Let me guess. Check and see if there's gas, right? Oh man, there's a lot of page scroll page views. 5.7 L HEMI anatomy. This is L. This is pronounced L. Okay, HEMI. Right. That is a lot of. I didn't find the exact shit I was looking for, but I figured out what I was looking for. Real easy. I typed in valve train. They tried to sell me 500 frickin' valve train kits. They all had chains and sprockets. Anatomy. Back in the early 90s, there's an apostrophe on 90s. There's no apostrophe 90s. There's no other apostrophe anywhere else on the internet right now. When Chrysler realized that it would need a new truck motor to replace its 318, 360 Magnum engines to meet the coming emission standards, if you don't remember that, I'm not explaining it. As of Bill Clinton and George Bush, the senior, and Reagan, and California ratepayers, cocksuckers, and onboard diagnostics don't even. The company considered 2 pushrod engines along with 1 single overhead cam design and concluded that a pushrod motor with a pair of HEMI heads that really breathed would make a great truck engine and could still be used in its cars. Really, because you might saw the same engine to both guys with different tuning, different. This is how the 5.7 liter Generation 3 HEMI was born in 2003. Yeah, that's a while ago. They were working on it since around 92. Yeah, that's. Because back then they didn't build a brand new car from concept in 3 months. It took like 5 fucking years, basically. When they started with clay, they fucking molded clay and shit. And they had just bought AMC, and I can't remember. I think they bought AMC, and that included Jeep or something. Yeah, it gets complicated. 5 years before this, they were still selling a carbureted. Yeah, okay, but that's a different engine. With no relation at all to this one, they just inherited it with Jeep, supposedly. This is how the 5.7 liter Gen 3 HEMI was born in 2003. I'm not going to explain everything yet. Although the chamber had small, quote-unquote, squish shelves on both sides, the heads did have HEMI-shaped chambers that enabled them to incorporate big valves and generous ports that actually outflowed the Chevy LS1. It's another 5.7 that has no relation to this one. Head, I think, yeah, heads by 24%. I'm not explaining all this. At 0.500 inches lift. Fuck you. So the new motor delivered 345 horsepower and 375 pounds of torque, foot-pounds, but we knew that. Oh, shit. That's 345 cubic inches, 345 horsepower, 375 foot-pounds. That's 41% more horsepower and 12% more torque than its, no apostrophe, 360 Magnum. That's the basic comparable engine beforehand, was a 5.9. So it was well received in the market and recognized as one of the 10 best engines by Ward's magazine for 5 years in a row, plus a 6-year not contiguous. Like, oh, would you get hit 11 and then back to 9? Like, you should average that. Anyway. Chrysler included provisions, by the way, it just says Underhood, the account name is Underhood Service, so what's the point in telling you the website? The dude don't care, he just wants you to know. And somewhere in here he says he read a bunch of articles and we read the same ones, I think. Or the guy we used articles we read the same one, I don't know. 41% more horsepower and 12% more torque than its 360 Magnum. But pay attention because this engine doesn't burn as much fuel and all sorts of other things. So it was well received in the market and recognized as one of the 10 best engines by Ward's magazine for 5 years in a row. Chrysler included provisions for a quote-unquote multiple displacement system. That's all lowercase. And in brackets, uppercase, MDS, in the original design. This is why they don't make never mind, just keep going. So the main oil galleries, I guess we can click on that, but we're not going to because it's not photos of oil everywhere. That's what I would like to see in an oil gallery. Oil paintings? No, paintings of oil in the gallery. Anyway, so the main oil galleries, that's where all the oil hangs out. And it seeks its own level like water, drops down, right? So you can imagine. We're used to supply oil directly to the we're used to supply oil directly to the solenoids. What are those? The solenoids. The solenoids. I said it right. Pretty sure. That disabled the lifters. Why would you do that? And the oil. Why would you do that? For the lifters came down to. Disabled the lifters, and the oil for the lifters came down through the push rods from the rockers up top side. This says top side. Yeah, the oil is going up and then back down. Yeah. This next part might not seem so intuitive. That's probably why the MDS system has been so successful and trouble-free in these engines. What? Sounds complicated because we haven't even got to how it totally works yet. But the original block wasn't designed to include the variable valve timing, VVT, that was the next step up in technology. So Chrysler had to redesign the block in order to update the engine in 2009. So if I go back a few years, like let's say 5 years, I've seen niggas run around in these Lexus SUVs with, I think it was VVTi or whatever, no, Acura. Yeah, I know, I'm making a mistake. So I think that right there. So anyway, the VVT or VVTi, that's variable valve technology, intelligent or whatever. So I'm not sure who copyrighted what terms, because I also found quite like references to Chrysler calling it VCT, variable cam timing. Well, it's the same thing, really. Now, Honda's probably scratching their head going, well, technically, we don't have variable valve timing. We have variable cam timing. We should have called it that. But that's probably why the MDS system has been so successful and trouble-free in these engines. And by the way, if you don't know nothing about the 318s and all these things, go look that shit up and then look up what came out before that. These upside-down valves. No push rods. They just put the valve upside down. Yeah, low head, but sideways, like wide, like straight eights and shit. It's a straight eight. It's better than a straight 5. So yeah, around that time. So yeah, the Asian companies already were using this and excelling at it, and I think by them doing that showed it could work. So they decided to do it. Because a lot of those Japanese cars, the ones we buy here, a lot of them are made here. A good chunk, good part of them. The cranks, oh, that's highlighted, nice. So check this out, there's another little detail. The crank sensor for the VVT motor has 58 notches instead of the 32 notches that were used on the original engine that had NGC, which is what? You lost me. No. So, yeah, fly-by-wire. I don't know if there's a throttle in this car. I never thought about that. I just don't want the valves to hit the pistons for a stupid reason. If it happens for like a funny reason, I'd be okay. But if I do it myself, it's my fault. It'd be okay. It'd be funny. The cranks, okay. This is part of the article. Part of the. These are captions, but I'm reading. The crank sensor for the VVT motor has 58 notches instead of the 32 notches that were used on the original engine that had an NGC I don't know. That's what I should know, but I'm not sure. That's naturally, I don't know. That's where it all started, but by the time they were done, the rocker assemblies were about the only two things that were carried over from the original engine. But do they still fit? Can we swap them over? Why use my new ones? Chrysler made some major changes to the block and heads. Shit. But there were a bunch of evolutionary upgrades too, including bigger valves and ports. Of course, why not? While you're at it, because we're going to do that anyway to the heads. So you're just preventing us a little while longer from pulling the heads off doing it ourselves. Updated cams and lifters. Updated. You just finessed them a little. You touched them a little. Yeah, it's updated. And lifters. What are lifters? I'll get to that. I might not. Motherfucking, if you're under 30, I won't talk to you. Along with the stronger crank and rods. Well, that's good, but how weak were they? And a high volume oil pump. Pump or something? Pump. Because I read this before, so I know it's pump. Then it says pump. With that, you thought it was something. No, pump. High volume oil pump. With that in my, fuck off. I don't need that picture. That's ridiculous to need that picture. I can see the difference. I don't need to fucking see it again. With that in mind, let's take a look at what's new and different. Wow. You can identify the cams by the location of the grooves. This is where shit gets in depth. Machine, and it's not even that in depth. It's not complicated, but it's a bit more complex than what you might be used to in these old, fuck it, well, it's not an old small, it isn't a new small block. This is the newest of the new. They got 2 generations already. Three, my bad. Or 2, no, because they're counting the old ones too. One is the grooves machine in the barrel in front of the back journal. Yeah. One is blank, but the other 3 will have a groove in the front, back, or middle, depending on the application. Oh yeah, you can't just swap. There are 5 camshafts, but you can really only get 4. See the difference? See how small the difference is? Your engine cares. You don't, but your engine cares. So this has to do with hydraulics. This is to get the updated pump, right? Block. Tell us about the block, brethren, with these major changes. General updates and major changes are reporting to the block that they have. Anyway, adding VVT to the HEMI engine required a new block. Yeah, that had 3, almost identical, but not quite. That had 3 additional oil passages and an extended front cam bearing. You serious? That allowed them to supply oil to the cam phaser through the front journal. Yeah, it goes zap, zap, and changes. It's called a phaser. It goes through phases. Through the front journal. That's that little groove on the one that the other one didn't have. What's the phaser? We'll get to that. That's what phases the cam in and out of existence. It's a 2-part shaft in 1 part inside the other. It is incredible how they did this shit. The front of the front of the block above the mains bearings, I know, was moved out by about 0.600 inches. About 0.600 inches. So it ended up flush with the side rails on the timing cover. Well, that's a good place for it to be, is it? Is it not? So now you can tell, is yours flush with the side rails on the timing cover? This change allowed them to add an oil passage that connected the main oil gallery to the oil control valve. It gets in depth. That directed oil to the phaser through the front cam journal. So at the end of the camshaft, the oil gets pumped in through the side of the bearing and goes out through. It sort of goes out through the shaft and pushes up. It's complicated. It's complex, but it's dead simple. Once you get it working correctly, it is dead simple. It should run forever. As long as you take care of the motor oil. This engine's not going to be tolerant of shitty oil and cheap oil filters. The cam bore for the front journal was increased by about 0.180 inches about, and it was about 0.550 inches longer too. You know, about. The oil control valve provides pressurized oil to the phaser through these 5 passages that are aligned with the corresponding holes in the cam. I'm only showing it, not those 5. These 5 inside the circle. And pay attention, because I'm not showing you again. I do believe it mentions that those lines. There were 2 other small. There were 2 other small changes made to the block. The hole for the temp sender on the left. I don't understand this one. The hole for the temp sender on the left side of the timing cover was removed. And what do you do with the temp sender? Exactly. Didn't get an answer to this article. And one more bolt boss was added on the driver's side, close to the front and about midway up on the block. They lost me there too, because what do you mean? Anyway, the new block was there's a lot of terminology to do with casting metal. The new block was a 53021319 DK casting. Oh, that's a lot of numbers, but they don't put them all on the parts. The last 3 digits of the part number and suffix are stamped on the back of the rear cam journal. The journal, the bearing, yeah. So you hope that these will line up. Yeah, you gotta check all these goddamn numbers. Hope the FedEx guy didn't bang it off the floor and then, yeah. Crank. The VVT motors came. The VVT do not sell crank. Crank. The VVT motors came with a new crank that's a 53021300BB casting. Thank you. It's still made of cast nodular iron, but is considerably stronger than the original design, according to Chrysler. And who made this car? Chrysler, Dodge, Mopar, or Daimler Benz? I'm getting confused. It's got the electronic keys of a Mercedes. It just has Chrysler written on it. Dodge, I guess, probably. The most noticeable difference is the length of that's why we can't steal the Jeeps no more. I didn't, but my friends do. The most noticeable difference, and you are who you hang out with, whether you like it or not. The most noticeable difference is the length of the tapered area in front of the main journal. This is so technical. That creates the step that locates the crank gear on the snout. It was extended by about 0.460 inches, so the crank gear would line up with the cam gear that was moved forward when the block was modified for VVT. Right, it's all these, when you modify one thing, you gotta check everything over again. I'm not sure what this is, so I don't know what the point is in showing you. It's a round part with a hole in the back. Rods. The powdered metal forged rods that were supposedly redesigned to make them stronger but they look just like the early ones, except for a slight difference in the balance pad on the big end. Where is it? Where is it? No, it's down here. Oh, fuck. You've got the picture. Why didn't you put that picture next to the fucking... There it is. Straight. I always got those little tiny, yeah. You can use the new ones in the old ones. You can't use the old ones in the new ones because they'll fucking explode or some shit. The powdered metal forged rods were supposedly redesigned to make them stronger, but they look just like the early ones, except for a slight difference in the balance pad on the big end. That's the part I just showed you, the slight difference. However, we tend to, on the big end, thank you. There's the con rod. Anyway, however, we tend to believe that they're stronger because the VVT motors make more horsepower and torque, and the original rods were the weak link in the Gen 3 motors. I thought this was Gen 3. Whatever. So they were definitely due for an upgrade. We wouldn't recommend using the early rods in the late motors. Yeah, you could do it, but why would you? All of the VVT motors, why would you cheap out on those parts? All of the VVT motors were supposed to have had bushed rods, according to an early press release. Does that matter? And it appears that a few of the early 09 Durangos actually came with bushed rods, but all of the engines built since then have had press fit pins. Really, does that matter? That matters for this purpose? I don't think so, personally. We're not taking the engine apart every night and sending it back to fucking Dodge to measure it. NASCAR does, so does NHRA. The oil control valve provides pressurized oil to the phaser through these 5 passages. Where did that go? 5 passages. What the fuck? These 5 passages that are aligned with the corresponding holes in it. We knew that, but that was from up there. Pistons. The original Gen 3 piston was modified to accommodate a new narrow ring pack. that had 1.2/1.2/2.0 millimeter rings. That's 3 rings. Instead of the 1.5, 1.5, 3.0 millimeter rings that were used up through 2008. Yeah, they're not all the same thickness. None of them are the same. Used up through 2008. So be very careful what model year you got, right? Other than that, I don't want the 09, I want the 13 that's there. Anyway, other than that, it appears to be the exact same piston that even has the same identification numbers on the inside of the skirts. So yeah, you could technically put the 2 different ones in the same engine, but why would you? Cams. This is where it gets interesting. Oh, fuck off. Because there are 5, to some of us, there are 5 applications that all share VIN code T, even though they're all different, and they actually use 5 different cams that are not, all capitals, not interchangeable. It's interesting. The cams for the MDS multiple displacement system motors, that's the 4-cylinder, 8-cylinder thing, are unique because 4 of the intake lobes have a quote-unquote primary ramp that takes up the quote-unquote locking lash in the MDS lifter, I'm not explaining it all, before the quote-unquote secondary ramp closes the check ball in the lifter, and the timing on the 4 MDS exhaust lobes was advanced by a few degrees. That was... Yeah, there's no EGR valve on this fucking engine too, apparently. Because it doesn't need it. I don't know. They eliminated it. Doesn't need it. It doesn't need a choke. Doesn't need a throttle. Doesn't need throttle cable. Doesn't need a speedometer, odometer, oil, which is enough to need. You just look at it, spit it, and it takes you 2 million miles in 10 seconds. This is a caption. The new oil pump housing is thicker and it has a bigger pickup tube because the output was increased by 22% in order to supply enough oil for VVT. Yes, because that's hydraulic pressure. It's using the engine lubricating motor oil to pump. It's the same oil. Why not? For VVT. It sits up higher than the old one too because the crank gear was moved out further on the snow. Well, I don't know what exactly the picture of that. So I don't know where the fuck they mount this since there's no distributor and there's no... Yeah, there's nothing to actually connect your fucking... All of that just disappeared. The point is the oil pump is fucking big as fuck too. Yeah, which means it's moving the oil around more. You're gonna get better... You're gonna get more stable temperatures and faster heating up and faster... more effective cooling, I guess you might say. Where the fuck? I don't understand how you do that. Well, if I leave it like that, you're not going to see shit. If I rotate it, you're not going to see it either. So, yeah, very slight difference. One's bigger, thicker, and has a bigger pickup tube. Yeah, more oil. It's much better. Because what would you have done? You would have bought the aftermarket oil tank. Well, they did it for you. Why? Because they want you to buy this engine so they can use it in NASCAR. Because that way they can make money developing engines to sell to you. Because that makes no fucking sense.
Team that will turn your summer into the summer of Volvo. Volvo of Toronto is waiving the first 3 payments when you lease select in-stock 2020 models, including the XC90, a beautiful blend of performance and technology. Or save an additional $1,000 when you finance or pay cash. Remember, Volvo of Toronto is here for you with exceptional service even in difficult times. Visit Volvo of Toronto, downtown near Cherry and Front, or volvooftoronto.com. You're listening to 680 News. Hey friends,
I don't know how to take apart a 5-cylinder
Watch BT and start
fucking
your day the right
Swedish
way.
motor.
We're here with all the latest news, weather, and entertainment, plus all the BT antics you love. Maybe a pun or two. Breakfast Television, weekday mornings, only on City TV and Breakfast
Why
Television.
5 cylinders? Why not 4? Why not 6? Why not 8? 7 or 9 or 3? What the fuck is wrong?
Street where news happens. Get up to date on everything.
Yeah, so this engine just looks like how an engine's supposed to look. That's part of it too, right?
At 6 and 11, only on City TV and citynews.ca.
First, your disability insurer denies your long-term disability claim, and then your employer threatens to fire you if you don't return to work. Sound familiar? My name is Aaron Waxman, and if your disability insurer denies your disability claim for any reason, or if your employer threatens to fire you because you're too sick to work, call me 416-661-4878. And don't worry about upfront legal fees, because there are none. At my law firm, we only get paid when you get paid. And before you call, you should always remember that there are no bad questions. 416-661-4878 or on your cell phone at pound LTD.
680 News Time, 10:56. Now the 680 News Business Report.
I'm Richard Southern. What's being billed as the first automated restaurant in Canada is open in downtown Toronto. It's called Boxed, and it's by Paramount Foods. The guy's famous for their Middle Eastern food. It's located at Yonge and King. So the idea is you basically don't have to touch very much in this particular restaurant. You go in, you scan a QR code on your phone, the menu comes up, so you order right on your own phone. There are no servers. There are real chefs in the back that get to work cooking your food. When it's ready, they put it in one of many cubby holes. An order screen directs you to your cubby hole. You pick up your food order without interacting with anyone. Although it's perfect for this kind of COVID-19 era we're living in, owner Mohammed Fakir contends it was in the works before the pandemic in an effort to speed up service.
Because there is a lot of issue in the restaurant industry where we have bottleneck, especially in busy places, and there's only 3-4 hours of business. And we have only certain amount of food we could push out. Here, by hiring many more staff, a lot of people think having an automated restaurant like this, the way the delivery is less staff, is actually more staff. Paramount would never support something that hire less staff. So we can put out in the same 3 hours of busy time, many more orders because we have so many cubbies and so many real chefs in the back.
Yeah, Mohammed contends there's no jobs being lost here because he's hiring more chefs in the back. A recent survey found 52% of Canadians are in no hurry to return to restaurants, but Fakir thinks this concept will pull people in, and he thinks the battered and bruised Canadian restaurant industry will bounce back.
The light will come. We'll build our country again. We'll open new businesses and we'll hire more people. The light will come, and we will hire and open more businesses again. And we'll see that light very soon.
That's Mohammed Fakir with Paramount Foods and Boxed. And at the Business Center, I'm Richard Southern.
COVID-19 continues to be a serious health risk, so we have to continue to protect ourselves and others to limit the spread of the disease. That means wearing a non-medical mask or face covering in places like grocery stores and public transit, washing our hands often, and staying home if sick. That's how we'll help keep our loved ones safe. Let's protect each other. Learn more at canada.ca/coronavirus or 1-833-784-4397. A message from the Government of Canada.
While we get back to business in some sense of normalcy, it's still important to protect each other. United Canada Inc. is one of the leading suppliers in Canada for medical supplies and are here to serve you with their protective face masks. They carry a wide variety of face masks, from their medical-grade face masks that are made in Canada to non-medical face masks starting at just $27.99 for a pack of 50. Order today at UnitedCanadaInc.com and get free shipping anywhere in Canada. Together, united.
Now, 680 News regional weather conditions for Coy Brothers. Get the Echo PB 2520 handheld blower for Father's Day.
This blower's priced lower at $199.95.
Echo at Coy Brothers.
KOOYBROS.com.
Downtown Toronto right now, it's 25 degrees with a few clouds. The news watch never stops. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto. 680 News time, it's 11 o'clock.
Number one for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Good evening. This is Saturday, June the 20th. I'm Eden Speva, and I'm Madison Fitzpatrick. Here's what's making news this hour. The SIU is now investigating after Peel police shot and killed a 62-year-old man in Mississauga.
The conduct of 4 Halton police officers and their physical interaction with the man in Oakville is under investigation after a video surfaces online.
For many, patio season has officially kicked off.
Think there's life again.
But Toronto and Peel residents have to wait.
Father's Day is right around the corner. We've got some fun ideas on how to celebrate during the pandemic.
The tie atop the leaderboard, the RBC Heritage Open, some history at the Belmont Stakes for multiple reasons. In baseball, rethinking spring training, sports entertainment.
And coming up in business, fire up the grill. Purchases of barbecues are off the charts so far this year, with people staying at home, perhaps upgrading their backyards. We'll hear from one of the leaders in barbecues about the rising sales trends.
6 City News Time, 11:01. It's time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Jordan.
This report brought to you by 680 News Gets Answers. Toronto bound on the QEW over the Burlington Skyway Bridge. 2 left lanes are blocked. If you're on the eastbound QEW, just at Dorval Drive, apparently the 2 right lanes are blocked as well. Not sure the reason, but we're just getting this note from MTO. Also, if you're on the eastbound QEW, east of Dixie, it's down to a single lane, so it was backed up from east of here, Ontario. If you're on the eastbound Gardner, everything is looking great into the downtown core. However, don't forget the eastbound Lakeshore. That remains closed for active TO. It's closed from Windermere to Stadium Road and from Leslie to Woodbine. And again, that's active TO. If you're headed southbound on the 404, the ramps from Davis Drive and Mulock to the southbound 404 are closed. And that's because southbound 404 from Davis down to Mulock, police have blocked all lanes because of an earlier collision. Northbound on the Don Valley Parkway, just north of Bayview Bloor, we've got a stalled vehicle blocking the right lane, so be careful through that area. If you're on the northbound 400, just keep in mind that we've got major construction. It's from the 401 to the 407 where all lanes are shut down, closed for bridge construction at Finch. That's until Monday morning at 5. So in the meantime, if you need an alternate, Highway 27 is Linton, Weston, or Kiel. And also having a look right now at the eastbound 401, east of Salem, we've got 2 left lanes blocked for construction, so it's slow through there. Approaching Brock, also 2 left lanes, but that's eased off. But it's still quite slow on the westbound 401 west of Thixon. 2 left lanes are blocked. The backup was from approaching Thixon. And on the westbound 401, we've got all collectors shut down from the Allen to west of Kiel. So that means that the ramps from the Allen, from Dufferin, from Kiel onto the westbound 401, they are closed. Do you have questions about COVID-19? Well, 680 News is working to get you the answers you need. Ask us anytime at 416-872-6800, and we'll work to get you the answer. Your next traffic report is at 11:11. Right now, let's get the forecast. Michelle Nelson.
It's officially summer, hot, sunny, and humid all weekend long. It will be warm tonight. We have mostly clear skies. Really a great night to get out for a walk. Most of the GTA will stay dry, but the chance of some more isolated showers and thunderstorms, especially north and west of the city. Your overnight low is 19. Downtown Toronto right now, 25 degrees, a few clouds, and over at Pearson Airport, similar conditions there as well. 6 City News Time, 11:04. Breaking news from Mississauga, where police say a 62-year-old man is dead after an interaction with police. Around 5 this evening, police were called to Morningstar in Goreway for reports of an adult male in crisis. Police say the man barricaded himself inside the home and hours later stopped communicating with police. As some tactical and K9 units were called to the scene and heavy police presence was in the area. Police say shots were fired from their own officers around 8 o'clock when the officers entered the building. The SIU has since been notified and are investigating. And as a result, westbound Morningstar is shut down from Goreway to Katapla. Police are asking you to avoid the area. Stay with 6 City News for more on this developing story. Meantime, a Halton police officer has been suspended after video circulating online showed 4 officers pushing a male youth around an empty plaza. 6 City's Tim Chapman joins us now with the details on the incident and the reaction from Oakville's mayor.
The video is just 40 seconds, but it's causing outrage online, and Halton police have acknowledged it raises a lot of questions. Although Mayor Bob Burton says the actions of one officer in particular does not conform to the standards and training of the Halton Police Service, and he condemns it without reservation.
I'm glad that the chief has suspended the officer involved, and I'm looking forward to the results of the investigation that will ensue.
Well, there's no audio in the video. It does show one police officer shoving the young man in the chest, causing him to fall over. He then gets up and has what appears to be his duffel bag thrown in his face.
You know better than to fight back against the cops. You also know better than to look too strong. If they push you down, you get up and they're going to push you down again.
For that kind of behavior. I'm Tim Chapman.
Stay down.
News time, 11:05. Toronto police are asking for help finding a man who is wanted and considered armed and dangerous. It's alleged that 23-year-old Jason Altis of Toronto has been
has made threats to harm multiple people in the GTA. He's described as 6'2", 215 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes, and has allegedly threatened to use Molotov cocktails, among other means, to hurt people in the area. If you see him, do not approach him and call police immediately. You're listening to All News Radio 680 News at 11:06. Environment Canada has put out a heat warning that's expected to stay until Monday at the earliest. While those in the city aren't able to cool down with a drink on a patio, many regions in the province still can. 680's Michelle Mackey was in Oakville today, speaking to those enjoying stage 2 of reopening.
Oakville residents are enjoying some long-awaited patio drinks. Christine here is on the hunt for a spot. While the wait is long, she's just thrilled they're open at all.
It feels wonderful. I mean, I think one of the hardest things of all of this is not being able to see people face to face and spend time with people, and it makes it feel a little bit more normal when you've got patios open, especially when the weather's so hot.
Is it ever? And that's why 680 weather specialist Michelle Nelson says Environment Canada has issued heat warnings for all of the GTA this weekend, with humidex values into the mid-30s.
We also have a special air quality statement in effect for Toronto because of the heat and the humidity. We do have elevated pollution levels, so if you do have plans to be outside, make sure to take it easy.
Oh, it's not 40, it's 38,
I'm Michelle Mackey.
Fuck you.
680 News Time 11:07 with Toronto possibly moving into stage 2 very soon. Many are wondering what activities are safe to take part in. 680's the Heritage HEMI has some tips for Torontonians.
Some jackets go wide,
begins to reopen, health experts are trying to figure out what activities are safe. The Toronto Star asked some experts to take part in what were once normal activities and asked them to rank their comfortability or risk level on a scale of 0 to 10. Going for a bike ride, camping, or visiting a dog park were ranked as low risk and comfortable activities. Getting a haircut, eating on a patio, or going to the gym were seen as moderately risky. And on the higher end of the scale was eating at a buffet, getting on an airplane, or going to a live theater. While this isn't a scientific study, its intention is to
you went to school with the other guy. He kept saying, no.
I'm Sahara Jimmy.
It will.
680 News Time 11:08. If you're still looking for Father's Day ideas during the pandemic, why not spend some time outdoors fishing? This weekend, Ontarians can fish without a license. The provincial government says you will still need to follow all the rules and will have to check ahead to make sure your favorite spot is actually open. Select provincial and national parks are also open for daytime use, which means you can get out and enjoy the beauty of nature with your father. The GTA is under a heat advisory this weekend, though, so be sure to stay hydrated and take frequent breaks in the shade to stay cool.
You have to go to school too. Okay.
680 News Time 11:08. Well, heads up if you plan to head to the college today. A major portion of the northbound 400 is closed this weekend. Northbound Highway 400 is closed from the 407 and 401 as crews do a rapid bridge replacement for the Central West Light Rail Transit Project. Matt Lewin with the Metrolink says contractors will essentially lift the old bridge and drop in a new one.
Where are they going to put the old one?
And we really understand that, for the people who live in the area, for the people who use the roadway, construction is inconvenient, and so really this is the best approach, this rapid bridge replacement, because again, instead of many years of construction and delays, we end up with just 2 weekend closures.
Yeah,
all closures in that area will reopen by 5 o'clock on Monday morning.
We just did the construction.
Stateside, U.S. President Donald Trump addressed his ralliers this evening amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, declaring the, quote, silent majority is stronger than ever before. Speaking at the rally, Trump said he's glad those who showed up were not deterred by COVID-19 worries or protesters.
You are warriors. Thank you. We had some very bad people outside.
Who's still outside? You gotta leave sometime.
But I really do. I appreciate it.
But what was meant to be a show of political force was instead met with thousands of empty seats and new coronavirus cases on his campaign staff.
This is 680 News.
Again,
now time for the 680 News gas price update.
How the fuck does that happen?
Will not change at midnight. It's set to hold at $1.49 a liter. Coming up, traffic and weather together on the ones. 680 News Time 11:10.
Rona asked renovators how good they're feeling about getting outside this summer.
Are you kidding? Look at my smile.
This is radio.
Oh, sorry.
Look at my smile. No, they can't see you. Dude, you're killing the vibe. With parcel and truck delivery, curbside pickup, and DIY project videos, find everything you need for backyard projects at Rona.ca. Do more at home, outside. Conditions apply.
680 News Time 11:11. It's time for traffic and weather together on the one. Here's Colette Desjardins.
Thanks. And right now, just having a look, turnabout on the QEW just over the Burlington Skyway Bridge. 2 left lanes are blocked, no longer a delay, so that's good news. On the eastbound QEW at Dorval, we've got police activity, just the right lane is blocked, really not causing a delay, but past that, eastbound on eastbound QEW east of Dixie, 3 left lanes are blocked. It's because of construction, so the backup is still from east of here, Ontario. If you're traveling right now in the eastbound Gardner, things are looking good. Same for the westbound Gardner and the westbound QEW. But don't forget the eastbound Lakeshore from Windermere to Stadium Road is closed for active TO, and eastbound Lakeshore closed again from Leslie to approaching Woodbine. If you're on eastbound 401 right now, it's quite slow east of Salem. We've got 2 left lanes blocked for construction, so the backup is now from Salem. It's really jammed through that area. Westbound on the 401, west of Dixon, we've got the 2 left lanes blocked for construction. The backup was from approaching Dixon as a result. And we've got the collector lanes all closed on the westbound 401. This is from the Allen over to Kiel. So that being southbound Allen and then the Kiel ramps and different ramps onto the westbound 401, they are shut down. If you're on the 401, either east or west, you'll notice you won't be able to get onto the northbound 400. The northbound 400 remains shut down from the 401 all the way up to the 407, and that is for bridge construction. So if you need an alternate, you've got Highway 27, Islington, Weston, or even Kiel. We had earlier problems on the northbound 400 at ESSA, really not causing a delay. That crash could be off on the shoulder. Northbound on the Don Valley Parkway, north of Bayview Bloor, problems have been cleared. But southbound on the 404, at last check, it was closed, blocked from Davis down to Mulock, scene of an earlier crash, and the ramps from Davis Drive and Mulock to the southbound 404 still closed. MTO said it wasn't going to be that long before everything opened up. And your next traffic report is at 11:21. Right now, let's get the forecast. Here's Michelle Nelson.
If you're a fan of the heat and humidity, this really is your weekend. It's officially summer, and we have widespread heat warnings in place. It's mostly going to be dry for tonight under clear skies, but we are watching out for some more isolated thunderstorms and showers for north and western sections of the GTA. Grab lots of water if you're heading out for active TO this weekend. Tomorrow, 30 degrees, feeling like 35 for Father's Day. The forecast is looking great, just a slight chance of showers, possibly an isolated thunderstorm late afternoon. Your overnight low is 19.
Right now in downtown Toronto, a few clouds, 25 degrees, but feeling more like 30 with a humidex. And up just an airport, similar conditions, 24 degrees, but feeling more like 30. Still to come on 680 News.
With everything going on in the world right now, how do we find calm in the chaos? According to one Canadian author, it starts at home.
680 News Time 11:14.
Hi, my name is Stephen Marsh, and I'm the host of the new Audible original series, How Not to Screw Up Your Marriage Too Bad. Everyone likes to talk about marriage. They love to complain about their own marriages. They love to wonder about what's going on in other people's marriages. I got to ask leading experts and ordinary people profound marital questions like, how do we divide up the money? Can we see other people? How do we stop fighting? The really good answers always turned out to be really surprising. How Not to Screw Up Your Marriage Too Bad. Listen now for free on audible.ca/.
That will come, and here's to the heroes who will take us there. And if you need a vehicle as we move forward, right now you can lease the 2020 Honda CR-V LX from just $70.